there are obviously quite a range of examples, um, but yeah, I think a good place to start is with a bit of background about what leadership actually is. So, I think a lot of people's conception of leadership is the kind of head figure with the authoritarian kind of manner about them, which isn't necessarily the case. Leadership can be quite flat. You can lead from within the team because, as that quote says there in the top right, leadership is the ability to accomplish goals through others. So you're not necessarily in charge of these people as long as you're kind of shaping them and guiding the team to the success, then it's still kind of a leadership position. Yeah, it's a skill of management and inspiration as well. So it's yeah, along those kind of lines where yeah, you're just kind of helping the team and managing it towards a common goal. Um, so yeah, okay. So the differences here between the innate and learned leadership. The innate skills mainly come from just traits, many of which are listed there, like charisma, confidence, and public speaking ability. They're quite often associated with good leaders. And then, yeah, conversely, you can always learn these skills, but not necessarily to the level of someone who's kind of natural with it. So I found that roughly the comparison between innate and non-innate leaders is that experience is always going to improve your leadership ability, um, but with the innate skills, you're always going to have that kind of little bit of advantage, as shown here. Um, so they're likely to. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of overlap, as shown here, but yeah, likely to excel in the field a lot more than someone who isn't so natural with it. So yeah,
I agree, and thank you for that presentation. Really, really short and straight to the point.
yeah,
Great. Some leadership skills or qualities are sort of innate, and some you can sort of learn it. But I also think I have of a school of thought that even if you don't have innate abilities, anyone can actually develop leadership abilities by discipline and practice. Would you agree with that? Because sometimes I think generally life throws us in situations where we are sometimes uncomfortable and we have to find our way through some difficult circumstances, and those experiences sort of build um, qualities of leadership in us as individuals, such that we could find, even if we're not naturally inclined to lead or do things from a leadership standpoint, we find that we develop those skills based on life experiences. Is that something you would? Is that something you'd agree with?
yeah, absolutely. So what I actually meant to put in these bars is kind of as it goes up, this is kind of their experience um, is kind of showing that. Obviously, there's a distribution of different people and different things like that, but kind of this is kind of where an innate person could lead if they don't have any experience, but this is where they could be if they do have experience, and vice versa. If like someone who's not such a natural born leader could then get up to a level like this with some experience on top of that. Is kind of what I meant by it.
Thank you.
So yeah, absolutely agree.
Yeah,
Any other questions at all?
yeah. I don't necessarily think it's being a naturally born leader. I think it's more with how you're brought up into this world, with your about how you're taught about it from your parents. You know, social interactions when you were little, and yeah. So I think most parents nowadays can affect their child to become a leader and teach them confidence and leadership from a young age.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. From a young age, kind of thing is very like influential on how things will go.
Uh, yeah. I feel like a lot of people like debate about this. There's a theory called like great man theory, where it's like, are great leaders born or are they made? So I feel like sometimes you do need to have certain aspects within you, or you can nurture those aspects. But sometimes just being in certain scenarios and things like that can make something grow in you that you didn't think might have not been there. So I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah, it's along the same lines of the ongoing argument of nature versus nurture.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, nature plus nurture is always going to win. Like Usain Bolt is a great example of that. Compared to, I think it was like Johan Blake was his number 2 back in the day, and Blake was absolutely insane at training, always on it. But Bolt always beat him because he was just naturally better. And Bolt wasn't very good at training. He couldn't be bothered half the time, but he was still going to beat him.